Outer Orange.
This is my card recording screen, and today we're going to talk about deck profile. Welcome back, guys. Outer Orange here today. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Archite today. I tested this deck for so long, and I was actually originally going to take it to Springfest. I'm still kind of 50-50 on it, but I have two builds essentially, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the more unusual build because I actually think it's really cool, a little unique, and kind of stands out from like the normal build, and it's kind of more like a meta decision depending on what meta's going on, all that kind of stuff. Based on meta, you'll kind of know like which one to take. I really like this version. It's very consistent and kind of just keeps going. However, I think there is like a little bit of a power issue with it, but we'll kind of talk about it. This build is what I like to call the wavy loss build, where it pretty much prioritizes wavy loss as the main engine of the entire build. So the sleeves I'm using for my ride deck is actually Buzz Lightyear sleeves from Pixar for the Schwartz end of things, because why not? And yes, my whole ride line is in these. I think it's absolutely hilarious. And main deck sleeves are actually these. I recently on Amazon got some really interesting sleeves. I talked about it on stream in the past, but they have kind of this like nice little shine to them, and they're just really cool. They're Yu-Gi-Oh base-esque sleeves or whatever you want to call them, so that's what these are. But I really like them. And then for deck box, I'm actually using the Monsters Inc. deck box as well. So this is what that looks like. Thank you, Melodomat, for finding this and starting a whole meme with me. Then who's the Buzz Lightyear sleeves? We gotta start a whole meme here. But these are really fun to use, and there it is. You know, it says right there, Disney Pixar Bushiro. You do need this starter in particular. Can't go around this, so you have to run this one. So if you wanna fool your opponents, you can't. Good luck, but you can't do it. Can't. And then grade 1, this is when she's right on top of the 0. You can directly search for research order, which is one of these or one of these or any of these sorts of orders. This is the kind of orders you'd be looking for. Can't use the Orpist orders or anything like that. It has to be a research order, so just something to keep in mind. So the 2 does the exact same thing. Also directly search for orders, so you pretty much get access to 2 orders right away. Very Ava-esque, so you'll notice that this is very familiar to Ava. So if you played Ava, at least the ride line will make sense to you. The rest of the deck won't, but the ride line will. And then last but not least, we have Archite. And by the way, just before I begin, this is a monster, so you can actually use it for the monster engine as well. You don't really need to, but you can if you really want to. The main boss units of the whole deck, pretty much. She has 2 skills. Well, she has 2 main skills, pretty much. Her first skill says whenever your rear guard that with the monster card is placed, you can send another monster card from like your monster zone, I believe it's called. Oh yeah, you can send 1 monster from your order zone to the bottom of your deck, and then you give that unit that you place 10k. So essentially, this deck is if it's not obvious already, you do want to run 4 of pretty much everything that's a monster card. It's very useful. You can run some other text, which we will be running, but that's ideally the point. You want to keep sending cards back, making your number super big. It's not once per turn. You're going to keep doing it. And then on attack, she has another skill. It says Counterblast. Her order zone has 3 or more research cards. Choose up to 1 of your rear guards of monsters card name. You put it into your order zone, and then the other one says look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 unit with monsters card name from among them. To rear guard circle, shuffle your deck. Why specifically for the first part of the skill, sorry, the skill with the top 7, you don't need 3 research orders requirement for that, but you do need it for the first skill. So if you want to keep looping, you do want 3 research orders. The deck does fall a little behind if you don't find your 3rd copy of whatever it is you need. These cards in general just really carry the deck. Like, you want to see them as soon as possible. Not even so much for this, but just to use them because the skill is so good on them. But anyway, regardless, you want to find them as soon as possible. The top 7 you can still do, but you'll be calling over cards. And yes, this is a 4-attack deck in case you're wondering. So that's pretty much how it is. So you pretty much call a board, you swing with it, or swing with one side, and then use attack with her skill, recall another card from top 7. You'll usually always hit. I have yet to whiff the condition. I don't know, maybe I'll get unlucky one day, but I have yet to whiff it, so you should be able to hit it pretty easily. So that's pretty much that. So the whole point of this is you want to attack 4 times, have big numbers, and just kind of apply as much pressure as possible. Now there's one downside to this deck, and that's kind of where the weaknesses of the deck start showing. Because you're constantly cycling cards from your board to your deck, to your zone, to your board, to your deck, to your zone, you'll notice that you start running out of board presence. Your board will start getting smaller and smaller as the game gets longer and longer. So there's ways you have to kind of play around that or build around it or do stuff to kind of help with that, and we'll be talking about that here today. Let's go ahead and talk about the orders because they are so important to the deck that it's not even funny. So this is the research orders that you'll usually almost always be searching for. This is Torrential Energy Research right here. Skill says when put in the order zone, look at top 5 cards of your deck, pick 2 monster cards, drop 1 into the drop zone, and put the other one to your hand. And then it has a secondary skill. You can rest it and then take a monster card from your drop zone and put it into your order zone. So why is this super important? Well, essentially for every single turn that you have these, you are deck thinning 2 cards. This is 8 cards out of deck essentially. Normally at 9 out of 10 games you'll usually see it more like this. Sometimes on a rare basis you'll only find 2, but usually 3, you usually see 3. 3 is usually the magic number. If you see a 4th one, congratulations, you're a good player. You're an extra lucky player because seeing 4 is usually not as common. But The point of this is that you want to use these as much as possible. You want to set up your monster zone as much as possible, because then you'll be looping it with Archetype, of course, and doing all that kind of stuff. So these start in grade 1, so you want to instantly start using these as soon as possible. And again, once you have 3, pretty much the condition of your deck is 5, and that's all that kind of good stuff. So that's how that works. And then I do run one more. I do run Ava. There is a replacement for this. I have a 1 monster card. I have a 3. If you want to take this out and run the 1 monster card, that's fine. I run this as a backup plan. There are situations where sometimes you do not find your 3 and you won't find them for the whole game, and I essentially have a 5th one to just guarantee that I will find at least 3 research orders, because I just like having that condition accessible. Like I said, you can make this into a monster if you really want to. This is not mandatory. This is definitely mandatory. Right, of course, you want Persona. FYI, she is a monster, so you can actually search for her off of the grade 1 skill. Off of this, you can put her to hand. You can also put her in the order zone if you want, and then you can bring her back into deck, and then maybe drive check her again, and then have another extra Persona. Won't happen too often, but it is possible. But pretty much, you really want Persona. This deck is very strong on a Persona, so you definitely want to see these, and you probably will. The craziest part is this deck will find you Personas pretty quickly. So if you like Persona, guess what? This deck will be doing a lot of that. Next, we have the Funky card. So this is the Erusian Demon Monster, whatever the heck that last part is. Yeah, card. It's a card. Anyway, so this is the weird stuff that this is part of the wavy loss engine that I've been talking about. So if you don't like this, it's very easily replaceable with just the normal guy. This is the guy that that everybody runs. You can just literally put that in this slot, and guess what? Your deck is fine. You don't need to do what I'm doing, but I just think this is fun, and I think it's very tempo based, whereas this is more like towards retiring stuff and more tutors towards having 3 orders. I will say the one thing I like about this card over other cards in this deck is that fact that it's a constant 18k. Whereas this is not a constant 18k. So that's the one thing that I don't like about this card that I like more with the Gugatara, I believe his name is, or Gokatera. So that's what I like about the Gokatera over this. Now, why am I running this? It says when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you can do the following. If you have an order zone that's 2 or more cards in it, you can draw a card. If you draw a card, you put a card from hand to soul. It's a may, it's not mandatory, you don't have to do it, but why in the world are we doing this? Well, we're doing this for this card and this card alone. This card lets you fuel your hand so fast. You can easily have like a very large hand, and to do that you need soul, though, because the soul has to draw a card, and this is a monster card, right? But this will help you fuel that very easily. Your opponent's gonna have to keep guarding your rears, and what happens is they have to take the Vanguard. And what's funny about the Vanguard is that because you're deck ending so much early on, Vanguard becomes pretty lethal if they say no guard to it. You can easily go to crit for game. So the point of this is to play a mind game, essentially. Call these out, you swing with both of them, you force your opponent to guard those, and then you call another one out if you find one off of Archetype skill, and then you swing with Archetype, and your opponent is either forced to guard it or they have to no guard there, because they still need counterblast. So if they're guarding these because they don't like the on hit, then they're forced to take the Vanguard, and the Vanguard will usually be pretty lethal. So that's kind of the point of it. It's a mind game to your opponent, it's a mind game to you, and you can keep spamming these over and over again. You'll see them like throughout the game, you'll see like hundreds of them. The other thing I like about this card is that it's not counterblast. There's absolutely no cost on it, and it's a May for every cost of it, so you don't have to do any of it. You can choose to just not do it in case if you're going to deck out or whatever, or you can choose to do it anyway. The other thing I like about this card is that in case your opponent does let you hit, you get to draw cards and put cards from hand to soul. You're seeing more of your deck, you're finding more of these, and voila, you will usually unbreak yourself a little bit faster. And then last but not least, the reason why I like this card is it doesn't require counterblast, unlike this guy who requires counterblast. So you have room to run other cards that do require counterblast, which makes it just easier to use. So I really like this card. I think it's actually very nuts, and the card from hand to soul is really cool, because let's say you do find too many orders early on, you can shove one into if you want, just to draw into a better card. And last but not least, what's really important about this card is because you're constantly cycling with Archetype herself. Since you're constantly cycling with her, you're drawing so much, chances are you'll see your same cards again, which will help with that board state situation that I was talking about. It'll make you replenish your board a lot quicker, a lot faster, because you're recycling. Chances are you'll draw back into the same cards you sent back to deck, which is good. You kind of want to do that. You want to see your cards again, so then you can recall them again to redo everything again. The point of it is that the cycle makes the cycle stronger. The only downside, in my opinion, is the 5k. Well, 2 downsides: 5k and it's an odd hit. So let's go to our grade 2s. So first of all, and I wasn't running this originally, and then I decided to play back in. I'm running Combine Rusher in this deck specifically because of the fact that there's barely any counterblast use aside from Archetype. I decided to put Combine Rusher back in. I actually really like Combine Rusher, and I think in this deck, because you need board presence, I think Combine Rusher is really good. So I put it back. When he attacks, if your Vanguard is greater or greater, and you have 2 orders in your order zone, or 2 set orders specifically, he gets 10k. And his other skill is when you set an order, you can counterblast and call him out. The only thing I like about this card is that this deck doesn't really spam too many set order calls. Like, it doesn't happen too often. So sometimes you will just whiff this condition. But the upside is, in case you do start running, say you only have like 2 throughout the game and you do have to start doing that skill where you have to call over cards, it's a lot friendlier to call over one of these than it is to call over one of your monster cards. But calling over one of these is just a lot easier. So I am running 3 of these. It also applies for early pressure. You do still kind of want to rush with this deck. Rushing is pretty important, and having access to this card makes you rush just a lot easier. Here comes probably the weakest part of the deck, and that is this card right here. This is Windstorm Monster Cyclocoyada, whatever his name is. So this is another monster card. I don't like this card very much. It says on place you can take a monster from your drop, put it into your order zone, and then second skill says if you have 2 or more research cards, he gets plus 5k shield, which isn't terrible. I wish he had plus 5k power and plus 5k shield. I think the weakest thing about him is that he's just kind of always sometimes a 20k, sometimes he a 30k under Persona, but other than that, he is kind of weird. He's really good for rushing as well, because you can find like 2 of these early off of their grade 1 order, and then you can just kind of pop off that way. But what I don't like about him is the fact that he gets very awkward towards the late game, and he honestly feels like a miss. Now, there's a future I could see where he will get better based off situations, but maybe there's certain cards that come out that'll make him better. But right now, he feels very weak because a lot of what he does, the deck already provides. So shield, really not an issue. The 10k is nice, but you draw so much that you don't really care about the shield, and the drop zone effect really doesn't matter because your order zone will be filled with monsters usually. It's really rare when you break that hard. But there really is no better card to put in the slot aside from like the on-hit monster card, or maybe the penguin, which is the penguin that lets you search for research cards. But because you're only searching for technically 4 targets, sometimes technically 2 if you really think about it with the penguin, it's really not worth running penguin in my opinion. I think penguin actually bricks the deck more than helps the deck. I think it's kind of a wasteful skill. Weavy Loss is very, very, very strong in my opinion. So he's a constant 13k beater. He also lets you draw cards, and he fuels your engine so quickly that it's just really nice. You want to see these pretty early so you can start setting them back so you can draw to them again, so then you can draw some more cards. So you definitely want to see this. I don't really feel like I need to talk about this card too much. It's a good booster. It's a good on-place ability. It's just a good card. You can start spamming this pretty early on. Like I spam the crap out of this early on. I just want to draw cards. I just like drawing cards, and I just want to keep drawing cards. Arcite does have this issue where it doesn't really kill, and it comes to a point where your hand gets so small that you just can't do anything. And even though you have all access to these, but eventually you get to a point where you're starting to fall off, and that's why you want to use Weavy Loss as much as possible. You can also run Bulba Mine to kind of help with this as well, but Bulba Mine doesn't help with the issue that Arcite currently has. Next, I run 3 of this guy. Like I said, the Ava order that I talked about earlier, this is where that slot can be filled if you want to just maximize on your monsters. So you can definitely do that here. So this is the Electrocute Monster Adapton. So this literally is just a 10k booster. Now, why is this important? Because it is a 10k booster starting from literally your first ride. So the minute you go to grade 1, say you're going second, you can instantly stop this this homie down and then just start applying pressure. Why does this really matter? This makes magic numbers behind your Vanguard at all times. So if your opponent chooses to drop a trigger, it is always a 1 to pass, and that is very, very, very huge actually. That can make a difference because you're deck thinning early so much that you almost always hit a crit, or you'll hit a draw, you'll hit something. So when your opponent tries to 1-pass with their 15k shield, chances are you will hit over, and you'll just undo what all the shield that they just did. So that's why people in Japan run this card. Or they're running for multiple reasons. Run it for rush, they run it for this as well. Behind Combine Rusher, that makes it 20. It just makes really good numbers. It always makes it so your opponent has a really hard time guarding, specifically the Vanguard. You always want to put this behind Vanguard. I do want this at 4. I currently have it at 3, but that's because I'm too chicken to do it like this. I personally recommend. I think this is better, but I'm just a chicken. So if you don't want to be a chicken, put a 4 copy. And also, it's a common, so it's very cheap. Very cheap, very old card. Last but not least, we of course have the Perfect Guards. There's a lot of discussion about what Perfect Guard should I run, how should I run it, blah, blah. I think this is definitely the best. It's an attacker because it's a monster card, and it's PG that you could find off of, again, the grade 1 order. So you definitely want to see this like pretty soon, and the earlier you see this, the better. It kind of gives you that survivability. The only downside is definitely the discard cost on it. It can be pretty hurtful, but it is a 7k. It'll be 17 if you send some back. You can also recursion it, maybe potentially get another PG back after already using one. It's very possible. Overall, I think this is the best option. I know some people run 1 Blitz here, and then they'll run 1 of the new PG, but the downside is when you look at top 5 and those are your only 2 options, you screw yourself. You don't want to whiff. You want to hit 2 like every single time. Even 1 is already not enough. Like, you need to hit 2. So if you want to hit 2, this has to be at 4. Triggers are pretty standard. There's nothing too crazy in here. It's probably the most normal part about the deck, but you definitely want 3 draws, and I recommend not going past 3 draws. I think 8 crit 3 draw is just the way. You can maybe run 4-7. Don't run fronts. I don't think you need them. I usually am like very whatever, you do you type of thing, but I actually think the draws are super needed. It's one of the few decks where I found that going fronts is just there's just no point. The deck already makes a lot of good numbers. You can run fronts if you really want to, but I think it defeats the purpose of trying to survive and kill your opponent. But it's up to you. And then of course I run these. You don't need these. These can be the 5Ks if you want. You don't really you can use them, but you don't like, need them. So just something to keep in mind. If you don't have these, it's fine. You don't need them. They're crits. And then of course we run eight crits total. So and then obviously OT. OT is insanely good in this deck, so like it is in every Brain Gate deck because it's just a good OT. And then of course 4 heals, and I'm running pure heals right now, nothing too crazy. Might change, sometimes I change one out for some kind of like one of the effect heals depending on what I'm facing or what I think meta's going to be like, but normally I've been kind of sticking to this. Sometimes I do 2 if I really feel like there's something going on, but usually it's this, and then I'll change it around depending on what's going on. So that's the triggers, and that's pretty much the deck. We're gonna do a quick mulligan run here so I can show you guys sort of what this looks like. Who will be going first today, who will be going second. Normally the last couple times I've been going second a lot. Let's see if my luck changes today. So I rolled, I got a 3. They rolled, they got a 4. Nope, I'm still living the going second dream. All right, let's see what we got here. And we're sending all that back. That is a 5 back right there. That is a terrible. You know what? We'll roll with that. Sometimes you just gotta send 5 back. Like, yeah, we had 2 PGs in there, but do we really need those perfect cards? We'll find them, right? We really needed this. Anyway, so opponent started. They did their thing. Now we draw. We'll discard that. Goodbye, Combine Rusher. Almost instantly. Don't need that there, right? And then we'll ride into the grade 1. I actually like to draw going second. In other decks, I don't do this, like Orpus and stuff like that, but in this deck, I do. Anyway, so here we are. We'll just instantly play it. So we'll look at 5. Get here, we got a lot of monsters. Looks like we got a perfect guard, and we got this is really funny because you have to reveal these, by the way. It's really fun to reveal the OT and make your opponent cry a little bit and make them contemplate their life. It's really good. I love it. We're probably gonna pick up the perfect guard in this case and drop the grade 3, so that's what we're gonna do here. And then if yeah, that's really it. We don't really have much else to do here, so we'll just probably swing. Oh, that's another. Cool. And then it's our opponent's turn. They'll give us a damage. It's now our turn. Oh, look, another Combine Rusher to discard and ride her. Oh, I forgot to do the resting. Anyway, but now we're unrested, so back. Anyway, so now we will use her ability to search another one. Now here, because we already have all of them, you can actually look for the Ava one in case you feel like you want to up for it, or you can just stay to the high roll. And up to you. Depending on the deck you're facing, if there's a certain piece you want them to not have, you can hold on to the Ava order and then just use her later if you want to. Completely up to you. So up to how you want to do it. Anyway, so we're gonna pick this up and instantly play it just so our opponent thinks that that's the only one we have. Make them suffer a little bit. We reveal our top 5 again. Very good top 5 here. So we're actually probably gonna do this and this as our options here. We'll probably drop the Wavy Loss for future, and we'll keep this in hand for current state. So that's really actually very solid. And since we did play an order, we can actually counterblast here and go ahead and call Combine Rusher. And this is actually an amazing setup here. So there's a lot of stuff we can accomplish here. Starting with the Wavy Loss, I'm actually just gonna go ahead and call it. So blast the 2 card. So probably gonna turn into another guy. And then you can instantly call this, and you can call this, and use his effect to then send back this over here. So that way you have that setup going, and boom, you have like early rush going on here. So probably go 10 here, and then swing for 18. 20. This is probably the most annoying number for your opponent to guard, so we'll do our drive check, and then their turn. They'll give us yet another little defense here, and then it's our turn. If you need to intercept something, you can. So we're gonna go ahead and draw a card. Now we have a bunch of Persona crap. I think here we're probably going to go ahead and ditch. Probably gonna ditch honestly one of these. I think this is, and then we'll ride into Archite here, and then honestly our board state is pretty much set up, but first we gotta do that scale again. Such a good scale. Look at that perfection. So I think here we can grab another Wavy Loss and maybe grab another one of these. Probably drop this, grab the Wavy Loss, and put it to hand. This is one of those situations where we're actually high rolling like crazy. I was not expecting this much of a high roll. Just go ahead and call one of these guys here and proceed to just start swinging. So you can actually start on this side first, and then you can go in with Vanguard, since we do have the research active, and go ahead and oh, that's a little awkward. I just didn't. I realized that I kind of screwed myself. We can actually bind this one since we're not using it anyway, and then look at top 7. Oh, I forgot to send back the Wavy. Did we call a Wavy? Oh, no, we didn't call a Wavy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's actually pretty hilarious. Okay, so I think in this situation, since we are going for, we don't want to like really utilize that much, we'll just do that instead. Oh, I didn't send back, I didn't put monster. That's probably what's up with that. That's okay, we didn't hit it anyway. I think I actually misplayed a little bit. I think I should have swung. That's fine. And then we do our drive check. That's a very dry, that's what we should have seen. And then you'll end it here. Your opponent might give this to you, they might not. If they do give it to you, you then draw a card and put a card from hand. So we have so many cards to work with here. And what's funny is you can actually set up your drop zone now for this. So anyway, so then it's their turn. We'll probably we'll draw another one, we'll heal. Goodness, the triggers just keep coming down. They might swing into this just because I don't do that. So then it's our turn. We hit 2 defenses, so they're probably gonna get rid of that. We'll draw. We drew to the OT, so we're definitely living. A Persona draw here. Oh my god, these research orders. We'll probably go ahead and play another one of these. Let's see. Top 5 gives us. Okay, it did give us monster. We do have a lot of Persona, but why not have more Persona? We'll do that. We'll do this. Now we can do like full board setup. I think I kind of forgot about the always abilities, and I totally forgot about all that. So we can Soul Blast 2 here, draw a card, and then use this effect. Then send back the wavy here. We can also rest all our boys. I'm not going to rest them just for time's sake. I'm just going to go ahead and just throw all four of these in and just have the setup going. Our full setup right now. Full setup of Monster Boy. And then call this guy here. Another one of these back to the bottom. Give the both. Now these both have 10Ks, so they're just swinging for high. And then we're also under Persona. Our hand looks absolutely amazing in terms of field value. I think we could just put it to the side and just start swinging. Start applying pressure. So we'll go ahead and swing with this. Really enough, this I messed up this skill. I should have really bounded this early. Now we're in this weird position where I don't think we're ever going to see this card, but it's okay because all 4 of them are in there. Anyway, we'll swing with the wavy first, and then probably swing with Vanguard. Do the ability here. We'll probably bind that to there. Do our top 7 again. So 3. Yep, that's 7. See what we find. We find another wavy because we didn't have enough of those. Actually, we have this guy too. I think I actually am going to prioritize this guy because I messed up my my grade 3 monster engine. I saw too many and I didn't set them up correctly. So. And then yeah, then you do your checks. I can't hit triggers on my Vanguard swings at all. And then you will just proceed to swing with your rears. And it's your opponent's turn. We'll just take 2 damage here. Guard with both of these, and we did have a defense. We should have plenty to guard through. We should be pretty okay here. So now it's our turn. We get to draw. Persona Ride again, draw another card, another wavy loss because why not? This time we're actually going to go ahead and activate the Ava skill here. We'll Soul Blast. Bitch. Actually, I'm going to Soul Blast out the draw and bitch. And then because we did play one of the orders, we can go ahead and call Combine Rush. Then we can on top of that also call this guy. We have any more monsters? There we do. And then we'll use the resting ability here. We can rest 4 2 as our turn. So we'll do that. This is our Humongousaurus Rex monster zone here. No excuses for us whiffing. Actually, I forgot to do we'll send one back. Back with that. And then boom, we're ready to go. Again, you can just repeat what we already did. So I think here we'll actually go ahead and swing boosted. And then we'll swing with Vangado. Using the counter blast, we're gonna actually bind this wavy loss back here. Do our top 7 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Wow, that's actually our entire. That's so funny. We're gonna call over this to call this, and then this effect to send this back, and that 10K. We are in a Persona, and in case you need to know, we have a lot of triggers in there. This is a very big trigger game. And then your opponent will say whatever, and we'll hit double crit because this will be swinging for 30, and then this will finish off for 40 or 30 as well. So because of the 10K back here. And then that's pretty much it. You can survive another turn. We have a very, very, very stacked hand. So if in case you think we're not going to survive, there's no chances of that happening. That like we could end like this and we'll still be fine. Saying we do have another turn, which by the way, we could even scoop these and definitely have your Persona Ride again, draw another card, drew to double heals. So we definitely weren't dying. Call this out. It's a little risky, but we'll be sending some cards back. Debating if we can even, we have exactly 3 cards. So a little risky bisky here to send anything back. Actually, yeah, I think we're fine. Yeah, you can Soul Blast 2 to then draw a card, and then use the skill for wavy and send that card back. And then you can actually go ahead and use the monster skills here first to send a couple of these back. So we'll send all 4 of those. And then because we're going for lethal here, we're actually going to go ahead and call the Perfect Guard and send the Perfect Guard back just to make sure, guarantee that we actually have full combo. And then you can also just call a 5k over here, kind of really put all the way to the end. And then yeah, that's it. And we just go on swinging. So you can swing boosted here, swing unboosted here. I actually don't know what the better play is. I think the better play is actually swing side and then swinging Vanguard using the final counterblast that we have access to. We'll send back this over here and then get our top whatever. Obviously, we know exactly what's in our deck now. We are officially out of triggers. So we're going to call over this and probably call... Number-wise, this is probably the best call because this is under Persona. And yeah, we'll do that and take the Wavy Loss again, put it to the bottom, and then we'll do our 2 drive checks. And then we'll go ahead and swing this, and then we'll swing this, and then that will be the end of that, and then cancel out another turn. So, but that's it. That was the full deck. You guys didn't see this card in full action. You would have if I made like 1 difference in decision making. Something to keep in mind: the decisions in this deck do matter quite a lot. So definitely be careful of how you're doing your decision planning. I was supposed to not send all 4 of these there, which is exactly what I did. I was supposed to have 1 cycling and I forgot to cycle 1. With that being said, that is it for this deck profile. I know it's a little different. I know it's a little untraditional. Like I said, I'm not over here like, oh my god, this is the best version of the deck you can take. I think the best version of the deck is definitely with this in it. I actually think if you just take that grade 3 out, put this in, the deck is pretty much there. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. I don't know how much out there info out there is on Arcite. I hope I provided something useful to you. If I did, please don't forget to subscribe to keep seeing, you know, me providing good info for you. That's just how it works, right? So other than that, guys, I'm gonna peace out and all that kind of fun stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. If you have certain decks or builds or building, feel free to let me know how that is going. Tell me about Kame Rusher and Bone Mind, what your thoughts are on it, and tell me about that common grade 1 that becomes TK booster, how you feel about it. I love it personally. If I see that early, I just spam the crap out of it and just keep annoying my opponent. I think it's great. But you tell me your thoughts. Tell me how your stuff is going. If you try this build out, tell me how you liked it. If you hated it, I don't really know. If you like this guy more, that's perfectly fine. I understand. But other than that, guys, peace out. Das Vidania. I'll see you guys in a future video. Bye!